been the talking point over the last just over 12 hours, of course, was the New Zealand Warriors versus the Bulldogs. AP, Wiz, touch judge, the call on Stephen Crichton, no sin bin for the tackle on Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. He said there was mitigating circumstances. Roger was falling. Preston pushed him into Stephen Crichton. There was direct contact to the head with the shoulder. There was no attempt to raise the arm as well. He's going to miss 1 week. We already know that. Firstly, AP. I suppose there's one question that asks. The 3 sin binnings on Thursday night or the no sin binning on Friday night. Who got it right and who got it wrong based on what the NRL's interpretations are?
They definitely got it wrong with Stephen Crichton last night. So because he's been charged and there hasn't been a plea entered to that charge, the NRL isn't allowed to comment. But I've hit the phones this morning and head office is filthy about how that went down. The guy in the bunker was Liam Kennedy. I'm afraid he will likely be the scapegoat. I'm tipping he won't be officiating next week in the bunker or elsewhere. But yeah, it's just really bad because you had, Manly in a very close game were down to 12 people for 30 minutes of that game for stuff that was a lot less than what we saw with Stephen Crichton. And it's that victory has come at a cost because I'm hearing too that Kurt Mann has broken his collarbone and he will likely be out probably for the rest of the year. There's a slim chance that if they make it to the grand final or very close to, he might be able to come back. But there are a couple of big fish that are out for a while now.
Okay, so based on the interpretation and the way the game is going, I think we agree that it probably should just basically on what we're seeing at the moment, and what happens this year, it's a sin bin. But Wiz, you probably think on the other end of the argument is why are we sin binning players?
Why? I don't. If it's not really deemed illegal, and they haven't done it deliberately, why are we putting these guys in the bin? And it's putting pressure on the teams for 10 minutes at a time. And, I watched that Tigers game versus Manly. I was really happy for the Tigers to win the game, but I couldn't understand why the 2 players were actually sent to the bin.
Well, 3.
3? There was 3 players. And then in the other, there was a Paseka. He should have gone to the bin if you look at the tackle because he hit the bloke in the head as well.
Corey Waddell was first contact with the arm.
But he was first contact, but he also hit him with the shoulder in the head. So I'm sitting there watching this game and going, are they making it up? Are they dead set making it up? And look, the problem I see in the game now, and people say, you play in the old days and all this sort of, I'm all for protection, 100%. But we are now saying the referees, I think I heard was like medium, high, contact. Where are they getting this from? Either you hit them in the head or you don't. That's where it comes down to me. And it's either deliberate or accidental. Accidental, play on. Play on. There's more blokes now, I reckon, Adrian, now this year, getting knocked out than I've ever seen.
Yep.
And most of them that are getting knocked out are the guys that don't have the ball. And they're making the tackles.
And there's a fair argument to it all, isn't it? And the NRL have really built a massive rod for their back because...
Well, they're making these mistakes with the referees because the referee makes a mistake like that or the bunker, then that poor bloke gets hammered. But I go back to the first game of the season in Las Vegas. The referee there, Calvin Klein, the first penalty. Calvin Klein. I love Calvin Klein. Do you like Calvin Klein? Yep. Ashley. So I said, Calvin, 21 minutes in the game in Las Vegas, not a penalty blown. And the game was 100 times better to watch. 100 times better. So
what about Origin 3? How good was that? And they're not officiating it the same way as they were for those marquee games.
So I want to understand who was running the referees.
Well, Wiz, you made a good point off air. You said that round 1 in Vegas, 21 minutes, but then the following week, which was the first week in Australia,
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Straight away. So, and Latrell was coming across. He jumped on the player, second man in the tackle. It should have been penalty, but they wanted a spectacle to make it, for the public, which was great to see. But, mate, you can't keep changing week in, week out because I'm telling you now what's going to happen. We play these semi-finals coming up in a few weeks and guys start going to the bin. We're all going to go, the game's going to get boring. It's going to be boring. And people
the Molly one was a bad one, yeah.
Hey,
people are going to get upset, mate.
AP and Wiz also on listeners. And the other argument is that players aren't taught to use good technique these days. And a perfect example of that was Jake Trebojevic, who has the best technique in the competition. He got penalised on Thursday night for a regulation, great technique around the belly button, turns the player on his side, got penalised because the leg was lifted and the player could have been put in a dangerous position. So we're going to stop Jake Trebojevic from now using really good technique.
He doesn't get rewarded.
There's no reward. Yeah, there's no reward at all.
So for me, when that tackle was made, I looked at it and went, what are we coming to? I was lost. I was lost with that game. And like I said, I was happy for the Tigers to win, but I've got to say there were some calls in that game that the players should not be going to the bin for a high shot unless it's deliberate.
Unless it's deliberate and intentional. Yeah.
Deliberate.
I also thought it was interesting and quite telling that Andrew Webster's a really mild-mannered guy, and he doesn't blow up about officials. It's not his shtick. But even he was really frustrated by the incident and said, like, I don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah, that's right, boys. I've got two grabs here. So there's a lead up Webster, and he's explaining the whole hit on RTS.
I'm struggling to understand how the shoulder can go into Roger's head, and the bunker it's got ages to see it, critical time of the game, and then we lose Roger for the game, and then we've got to reshuffle our team. And you got to reshuffle anyway. That's football. But if it happens because it just happens, but when it happens like that, and then nothing gets done to them, we've got to protect our players. And I just don't see the consistency one little bit around that. Roger will miss next week now. Couldn't come back, and their play goes on. That's it. But just frustrated.
He's also frustrated, and he also did make comment around the officials and whether they actually got knowledge of where they need to be going with these calls.
I just think they need to know what they're doing, personally. I actually don't think they know. Yeah, I don't think they understand, because if they did, the wording around what they say just isn't clear.
Can I say, AP and Wiz, I feel as though that 10 minutes is a long time off the field.
Too long.
It can change the rhythm of any game. I thought it changed the momentum of that game last night. Yeah, in that situation, you don't lose a player, and all of a sudden you're not reshuffling your team. But outside of that, I'm happy for that Steve Kryon tackle last night. I know it's not the way that we've been adjudicating the game. We've been sin-binning players. But I'm happy for Stephen Crichton to go and report.
And play on. But then again, the argument is, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck has missed the rest of the game.
I can't. That doesn't wash with me, because there's an active foul play. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, one of their best players, is out. And what's the consequence for the Warriors? What advantage do they get? That's all good and well that he's cited now and he's going to miss a game next week, but that doesn't help the Warriors.
Yeah.
Adrian, do you think that was deliberate, though?
No.
So,
I don't think it was deliberate at all, but
you just said about active foul play. To me, is like you're going there deliberately to try and hurt someone, hit him in the head. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing that with a lot of players in this game doing that now. And it's the last couple of years, I don't think there's anyone out there that's gone out there to hit someone in the head deliberately. And if I look at Stephen Crichton's tackle, the way Roger was falling, hit him in the side of the head, a lot of circumstances in that tackle. And it was unlucky that Roger did get knocked out. But I can't honestly sit here and say that I thought Stephen Crichton did something deliberately to hit him in the head.
Well, that's interesting, Wiz, because you're right. And that's why when the referee said there's a high level of mitigation, in his explanation to Barnett when he made the decision not to send him off, it's like, well, it's because he was falling, etc., etc. But we've seen in the past, and comes back to consistency.
100%.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No. I think again, the listeners will know that I'm going to continue to harp on, and I don't like to adopt anything from rugby, but I think where they put someone in a sin bin, yellow card, they then go and review it in the bunker, and they decide whether it's upgraded to a red card or whatever it may be, or the player comes back on. But
mate, if we're going to take something from rugby,
I know, I totally agree.
We are going down the wrong track.
Totally agree.
I'm going to get you here, Scotty, mate. I love you. I love you. But dead set, we're not taking yellow cards, green cards, blue cards, because they have got no idea what they're doing.
Well, guess what? Rugby league started from rugby union.
I know it started, But hasn't the game progressed though?
I know. I'm happy for Stephen Crichton to go off for 5 minutes. They look in the bunker. They decide whether they
Well,
upgrade
what's he
it or
going
not.
off for 5 minutes for though, mate?
Just because-
I just said.
So we can let the game flow. Go off. The bunker's going to sort it out. Let's get the game going.
But what's he going to the bin for?
So the
what deliberate act did he do?
Well, for me, he had another option to bend his back.
How? You're there, mate. You're not taught to do that anymore. No one's taught to tackle like that.
Well, learn.
What, mate? You know what the coaches are going to say, Scotty.
Well, if-
you know yourself.
Well, if you know
if you
that
tackle around the legs, you're sitting on the bench with me.
if you know that, well, if you tackle high, you're going to sit on the bench watching your teammates play.
But we've seen players go in to make a tackle
Yeah.
who have come off second best and knocked themselves out.
Mm.
You know, like at the start of the program, I said to you, there are more players now that I've ever seen being knocked out in games of rugby
And
league.
it's due to lack of
And
technique. Yeah.
Adrian, do you think that's correct? A correct statement that I'm making? I think there's more players I've ever seen knocked out this year than ever.
More HIAs. Yeah, 100%. I think that they're much more cautious, and if in doubt, they get them off. They do the
Yeah.
head injury assessment,
Which
and then
should
they
do. I'm
come
happy
back
for that.
on. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
happy for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, let's get to a break here on Crunch Time. Great debate here. We're going to come to blows really soon, all of us. We don't know who's going to win and what we're actually arguing about. But
Mate, I'm very slow nowadays. I'm not going to get away from you that quickly.
now, before we get to the rumour dungeon, John from Baronia Heights has given us a call, 1300 01 1170. How are you, John?
G'day, boys. How you going?
Really well, really well. What do you got for us?
Mate, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. I just think it defeats the whole purpose, this leaving 12 players out on the field for 10 minutes. I don't care. You can get rid of the fella that did the infringement, that's fine, and leave yourself short on the bench. But by leaving 12 players on the field, and I get hounded down for this all the time because they reckon, and I said, you all still live in 1908, is that they're putting more pressure on 12 players to defend. And 9 times out of 10, you watch another player will do something stupid. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Sometimes they do score a try and things like that. But that's the real good sides, the top sides that can do that. But the weaker sides really struggle. I just think it defeats the whole purpose of sending the bloke off for what he did by putting pressure on the other 12 players.
I do agree with you, John. I think I'll go back to it again. Rugby union replace their red-carded player after 15 minutes. I do like the idea of after a period of time that you can bring a player on because, you know, if Stephen Crichton went off the field last night, you're not going to replace a player
With his quality.
of his quality.
No
so
chance.
You're still going to be disadvantaged in some way.
But I still go back to the one point. Should he have been sent off?
No, he shouldn't have been sent off.
Should he have got? So why did he go to the bin then for?
He didn't go to the bin.
No, but why would he then go for the bin?
Well,
why
because-
would you put him in the bin then?
because
if he's hasn't
he hit-
deliberately gone.
Because that's
ahead of
been
a
the
man.
pattern.
No, I
He
understand
still
the
hit the
pattern.
bloke in the head, whether he's done it deliberately or not.
Or-
he still
yeah.
hit the bloke in the head with his shoulder.
No, I get all that. But you even heard the referee say mitigating circumstances. You know, like now they're trying to come up with the reasons why, which we did. I think in the first show I did. But the first thing I did say, you've got to take in consideration if a player's falling to the ground and you're coming to make the tackle, you haven't got much time to make a change the way you're going to make the tackle
Agree
anyway.
with that, yeah.
You've been in the same situation, mate. I've been in the same situation. And you do hit someone in the head by accident. You go, there are a couple of blokes that I probably got in the head deliberately too as well. You know, I don't mind putting my hand up for that. But the game has changed. I support it 100%. But we've got to start to look at this as an opportunity to say, okay, here are the issues that are going to happen on the field. This is how we're going to fix it up. But I don't see how they're fixing it up. They just send it to the bin. Everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah.
And we're all rowing the same way. But guess what? The players are so frustrated. Ola Kawatu, when they went into the sheds through the chair, that disappoints me. We should be seeing that anyway. But, you know, he's going, why? Why am I going to the bin? They don't even understand what's going on.
What's in the bin, boys? Is there anything in the bin?
In
Is
the
there a
bin?
luxury sofa like a?
Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah. There's nothing actually in the bin.
'Cause
You
it's-
sit-
People
sit-
try to come in and console you.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, mate, get
a
out of my
waste
face.
of time.
Get out of my face.
Yeah, just let me back. Get me. What time is it? I want to
Yeah.
get it back out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think 5 minutes in the bin is enough for deliberate acts.
Yep. Have you got a poll running?
Yeah, there's a live
Vaz?
poll. Yeah, so 66.7% of voters so far are not happy with the way the game's been
Can you add me
officiated.
into that?
We'll add another vote
Make
to
it
that.
68.
So 33.3%
Good
are
maths.
happy.
Are
Well
they
done.
happy?
Yeah.
Are they seriously happy?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
the people I talk to in the street that
It says one of those votes was Graham Emersley, and the other one was PVL. So there you go.
Exactly.